Warning: this podcast discusses addiction, mental health, and other sensitive topics. Please listen with care and take a break if needed. You are not alone, and support is available. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Malfunction Junction.
Thank you for joining us.
This is Andrew.
This is Jay.
How's everybody doing today? Jay, how you doing today?
Doing all right. Had a nice little convo before this started.
Yeah,
Got ready to get all into the good stuff here.
We got here about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And we've been talking the whole time.
Doing a lot of John.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good time.
It's been good.
Time. That's half the reason we started this thing, just to hang out more.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
So anyway, we are going to start out the episode by saying, go ahead and check out last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
It is on wherever you got this week's episode.
Yep. Got into laughter as medicine a little bit.
Yep.
About the nuance of it as a coping mechanism.
I would like to read a comment that we got on Reddit and shout this out on the podcast.
We got a comment?
Yes, we did. I believe I sent you a picture of this. The episode was just the episode description. That was the post on Reddit that was advertising the episode.
Oh, wait, you did say.
And somebody, one-eyed C4T on Reddit,
One-eyed cat, yep.
former addict and now drug counselor. I'm sure you're good at that, bud. He says, laughter is not the best medicine. Medicine is the best medicine. Not saying people have to be medicated for life, but I am saying that some random person saying laughter is the best medicine isn't very reassuring regarding the veracity of such a claim.
I don't think they listened to the episode.
They definitely didn't listen to the episode, and it might be their first day on the internet.
Since we're bringing up this comment, let's bring this up on the podcast.
Let's do it.
Why'd you have to say I look 40?
Sorry about that.
Threw that in the description. I remember reading that and going,
funny.
I thought that was the comment. And I was like, how the fuck does this motherfucker know what I look like? And then I was like, oh, wait, Andrew said it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a comment we got on Reddit. And to that guy, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Laugh more, dog.
Laugh more. Let's take life less seriously. And then come back and talk to us about it. Anyway. Shout out listeners as a whole. We have done, honestly, a lot better than I expected at this point in
that makes two of
a
us.
podcast. Like, a significant amount more listeners than I have expected.
Shout out to you
expected
guys.
when I initially started this at this point. So shout out you guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys and everything you do for us. Send in more emails. It's at malfunctionjunctionpodcast@gmail.com or follow our Instagram at malfunctionjunctionpodcast.
And one other thing is we are trying to get more regular with the trauma battle episodes.
And we'll get into this in a little bit at the end of the episode.
We're going to bring it up again, but for those of you who don't stick it out, just please, if you have any interest in doing that, especially if you're in the Denver area, make sure you send in a submission to us. We're continuing to adapt that game so that we can have, bracketed tournament-style battles and keep going.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, all right, sorry about that. We had
Technical
difficulties there.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were we? We were shouting out listeners and whatnot.
Yep, and just mentioning that, we're still open for submissions. Send in what you got. Any questions and any interest in trauma battle, please let us know.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and go into, how was your week? Like, what'd you do the past week?
Worked.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
It's about that. I did get up early today, which was bizarre.
What is early?
I'll break it down later, but
Okay.
8:30 in the morning.
Whoa, that is early for you. In general, that's pretty early.
For our listeners, my schedule on the average is wake up somewhere between probably about 1 and 4 p.m.
Yeah, it's not great for
I do a late night bartending job. I do get
True.
home at 4:30.
True, but it's just not ideal for anybody in general.
No, just to clarify though, I'm not fucking just gaming. But it's a weird. I don't like. If I could just go to bed as soon as I got off shift, that'd be one thing. But
that's impossible. I get why you do it. I'm not hating on it. It sucks.
I know it's just not functional.
No,
Especially, I can't do anything between the hours of 10 and like 9 and 12. That's a brutal time stretch for me. It's just stay up through the night if I got to do something for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brutal.
Don't feel like an adult, but it is what it is. We're dealing with it.
Yeah. My week was decent.
That's good.
I'll get into my clean but still a mess here in just a second as we get into that segment.
How's the first week as a man with a degree?
It's been interesting. I mean, fine. I didn't really.
Do you feel more legitimate now? Is the void in your chest feel fulfilled?
No, I still feel like an empty man.
Well, thank God. No, play the other one.
Which
the
one?
Third one was better. Pussy.
That's a good point. Yeah. Let me play the world's smallest violin.
Mm-hmm.
You're sad? Shut up, pussy.
It's good. It's good. Like, we'll get more material for the podcast out of
absolutely.
it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But no. Anyway, it's been fine. I have been just working on the company. I got my first piece of mail for Crucible
Sick.
Media LLC today. That's dope. It was just the, LPCC office, but yeah.
I don't know this actually. Let's share this with the listeners. What is Crucible for?
Crucible is you know what a crucible is?
For like smelting metals.
Right. Yeah. So it's something that can be brought to extraordinary degrees without breaking.
Mm-hmm.
That's my life.
Resilience.
Resilience.
Attaboy. All right. Nice.
So yeah, that's why I named it that. I had took a little bit of effort it didn't take that much effort to come up with, but I was just like, I thought of it and I was like, that's pretty good. And I was gonna go with something else. I don't remember what I was gonna go with initially, but it was something. But
something about former addict media didn't have the same ring to it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Fair play.
But yeah, so I just spent the whole week working on that, and I've been working on that nonstop. Every day that I've been working, every day that has been since I graduated from the Tuesday after it. I took Monday off. I think I went into that last time, but on Tuesday last week, I started that shit like right away, and it was. I mean, honestly, like I don't regret that at all. I don't look. It's like it's a whole different thing working on something that you enjoy working on rather than like for school.
Yeah,
dude, it's a whole different thing because it's like I wake up like I noticed like I mean for the listeners I don't really care that you know this at all, but it's I diagnosed ADHD at age 13 and been taking Adderall since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what life's like without it. But I've started, and in school, it's impossible for me to do anything without this stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, when I realized it the other day, and I've taken this, most days of my life, and I realized the other day, I had worked for 4 hours before I had realized that I had forgotten to take my Adderall.
Yeah.
And I was just in the zone.
I mean, that's kind of
it's just like the
opposite swing of it, right? Like,
right.
When you have that dopamine hit off of it, you're like, all right, this is the thing I'm doing. Nobody can stop me from doing it.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, and I think that's a, I don't know, piece of advice for anyone. Find what you love, and at the very least, try to do that, even if it's just as a hobby, or even if it's only can be as a hobby. You can't be professional at it. Mm-hmm. Do it, because if it makes you feel good, do it. Because you shouldn't just do something that's soul sucking. I've had soul sucking jobs, and I'm sure, and everyone has had soul sucking jobs.
Yeah, it's kind of a prerequisite.
It's a prerequisite for having for be a fucking adult. Like, mm-hmm. You have to have a shitty job. And I would rather make a lot less money and work a lot harder at my own thing than make more money and work easier for somebody else's thing.
And I think a big part of it too is like when you have something that you get to create into, there's like a natural fulfillment that comes out of it that you just can't find with anything else. And as much as I will say I am a little bit of a like a willing participant in the rat race at times, I think that like there's a large benefit to having the 9 to 5, and it's something that can be effective for most people. When you have something that you truly created, even if you end up on the same schedule, you get like a much longer lasting reward effect from it.
Yeah.
Even if you have something like a 9 to 5 that's productive for you, at the end of the day, you just don't get that like long term gratification.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, I have a hard time with authority in the first place.
No shit.
Right, yeah. I think we may have talked about this on the last episode, but
I think you may have talked about it on every episode.
yeah, probably. Fuck those guys. Yeah, anyway, we'll get into clean but still a mess, because that actually leads into my next part here. Yeah. On clean but still a mess. Oh boy, my it's been fine. Like I've had to think about, like, and this is definitely convincing me that I am in fact an adult, and not just like we had mentioned last week for you, a child masquerading as an adult. And yep, I think you're getting past there every week, but it's like, I am an adult this time, at least this week. But I want so badly to just egg my apartment complex's front office.
I love that that's the first thing you say.
I want so badly to just like tar and feather every single one of those people that work there. Like, just something that's not going to necessarily kill them, because I don't want to kill them.
No, just make them know they fucked up.
Just make them know that they fucked up. Because I got an email the other day. So first off, they changed all of the locks in the whole building. And which, whatever. Like, it was fine before. They were analog locks with keys. What do you know? And now...
ancient tech.
Now they're fucking battery-powered locks that are by a touchscreen code, which is, I don't know, maybe not the best idea if the fucking, I don't know, door locks and the battery dies. What am I supposed to do then? How am I supposed to get in and out of my apartment if the battery on my fucking lock dies? And it's, I don't know, say one of the days you guys aren't open as a fucking complex. So that's number one.
I think it's also funny that, like, it's connected to Wi-Fi and everything.
It's connected to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
And it's a.
I can open I mean, it's cool and all. I can lock my door from the bar.
It's
from the
tight,
bar
but it would take a $150 flipper zero to get into any apartment in this building.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not good. And it's just then they also within the same week changed the garage code, so that now, and parking there, it's an enormous garage here. There are 2 enormous garages in the whole complex, and big enough for everybody that lives here's cars. But they want to make everybody pay $50 a month, and that's been a thing. But it was still like something you could get past if you needed to, if you wanted to, or if you knew that you could. And I got past it the whole time I lived here. And then the other day, I like go in to let my car in, and it's changed. It's now like a different thing, and I can't input the right code in there. It won't open. And so I'm like, what? Like, so I have to, like, now basically, and my building, my apartment is in the basement.
Yep.
There's no fucking way to get to my front door unless you go in the garage.
Yeah.
Like, so you want me to pay $50 a month to have access to my front door? I already pay you XYZ $1,700 a month. It's fucking way too much money. Way too much money. It's way too much money.
Charging for parking in general is an insane idea for any apartment or condominium complex. The idea of being like, hey, here's a necessary service that you have to have. And as a resident of this building, you are reasonably entitled to. We're going to charge you for it.
Extra.
It'd be like charging you for the house key.
It'd be like charging you for bottles of water. I mean, it's like... like actively, because obviously they do.
They said, hey, if you want more than, if you're in a 1-bedroom, you get 1 spot. If you want 2 spots, you pay for the second spot.
And I would.
Yeah.
I would pay them that.
That's fine. But for the initial spot is insane. It's criminal.
It's criminal. And so, I don't know what I can even do about it. But I'm going in there tomorrow or whenever, and I'm going to pay the $50 a month. And I'm going to call them in the process. I say, I hope you're happy that for this $50 a month that I can't afford, but it does hurt. And I hope you're happy about it, you spineless, cash fucking hungry pigs.
Yep.
And then I'm going to leave.
You know what's funny? You'll appreciate this. You can live vicariously through me. So I live in a condominium complex where I rent, like a private apartment that's getting leased out.
Right.
So I rent there. They charge for parking. Keeping in mind that at least 85% of the people there own their homes.
Right. Oh
and they
my
have
God.
to pay for parking there.
On top of that.
So, yeah, whoever the fuck decided that, I have no idea. I don't know how they got away with that.
I don't know how you get away with that.
Because there's an HOA, but there's no HOA meetings.
If
So
there
I
are
don't know
any lawyers that listen to this show, and you have any advice on, or I mean, really like reasons why they can do that, and you can explain it to me, please tell me, because I don't understand how they can just get away with charging for a parking space that is literally like fucking 2 lines. But like,
so get this though, right?
Yeah.
So they charge for parking. So I've lived there for right about 2 years now. Mm-hmm. Never paid for parking.
Right. Yeah.
Retarded. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
So after this was about 6 months ago. So after about a year and a half of living there, one day I guess they decided they were going to crack down on it.
Yeah.
And so they went around and put warning stickers.
Oh, dude. That's vandalism.
Yep. So they put warning stickers on everybody's car. Of course, they were a bitch
to get off. They're fucking. That's vandalism.
But here's the best part of this story. Almost every single car. I'm saying almost because I don't remember seeing a car that didn't have it. Mm-hmm. But every car I checked had a sticker on it.
Oh boy.
Not a single person was paying for it.
Right. Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of neighbors. Everybody was pissed off, and I said, "Are you guys gonna pay for parking now?" And every single person, no, absolutely not.
Right.
And so they did it one more time a few weeks later. They said they were going to start towing cars and ticketing.
Yeah.
Nobody did it.
Right.
And,
of course.
And never mentioned again. And all the flyers they had out for paying for parking, they still have a little box for depositing it, but they had flyers out so you could pay for them. It's not stocked anymore, and they've never restocked it since. Yeah, so I think they accepted their defeat on that one.
I just don't know how we can defeat these guys, because it's literally like a code on the gate. You
would have to get them to actively come out and say, "Hey, we're going back on this policy." You can't. It's not like they'll forget about it, because I have outdoor parking, so it's like I'm parking there.
I have
an indoor parking. You can fucking tow my car. You have to get into the lot.
You can't tow my car. It's the fucking tiny garage. There's the fucking tow truck.
No, but I'm saying you like for you have to get in the building. So there's not the workaround of like just being able to pull up and park.
Right. Yeah, I have to be able to get in the building.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. So yeah. Anyway, the thing that made me feel like an adult though was not egging their thing and trying to then instead find a way to like beat this in a logical way. And instead just like calling them a fucking ridiculous name.
Yeah.
A corporate mongers, fucking douchebag, whatever. I can call them whatever I want. But the reason that I had to like think about like, do I want to respond, and do I want to move out, like all this shit, like, and what eventually just made me go, fuck it, just pay the $50, dude. Just pay the $50, cancel some other fucking subscription and pay the $50. And so what made me do that is like, I just built this studio in my apartment, and it's like, why would I what's the odds that I'm going to be able to find a place for less money than I'm going to be paying here anyway, that's as good in as good of a location that I can have a studio in? The
location is big.
The location's huge.
But at the end of the day, let's be real, Mark's going down in Denver, you're paying $1,750 for essentially a studio.
Yeah, it's big though. It is a studio.
It's relatively spacious.
It's spacious, but it is a studio. I agree, and it's obviously like I would like to go. If I'm not ready to move out from the perspective of like move in with my girlfriend at the moment. They're
getting your goods on this one.
Yeah, they're killing me. Mm-hmm. They're raping me. Anyway, that's my clean but still a mess. I guess I'm. I didn't egg the apartment complex. Thought about it. I really thought about it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, growing up.
Good on you, buddy.
Growing up, dude. Anyway,
that worker wasn't so lucky.
Which one?
The one who double parked.
Dude, fuck that.
He's
guy.
got to clean it. But the apartment
Fuck that
complex for today, you get out unscathed.
Yeah, for now.
Good shit, buddy.
Yeah, right on. How about you?
All right. Well, I already mentioned this a little bit, but yeah, my clean but still mess for this week is for today. I cannot tell you, being in the land of the living is bizarro. I'm so used to functioning where most of my free time is spent, in the hours of 2 a.m.
How are you right now? Are you tired?
A little bit.
Okay. Normal to be.
But I got up this morning. I left my house at 9:30. I grabbed a little energy drink, went for a drive. I went over to the laundromat, and it was fucking weird, dude. It was weird seeing so many people out and functioning. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it kind of
forget how many people there are.
Yeah, it kind of bothered me. I'm so used to driving on empty roads, no traffic, and there's limited interactions. And for me, life still feels similar to the way it did during COVID.
Sure.
Where
you're alive during the night.
And it's nice that way.
Yeah.
I liked it. And then I got up today and I was like, this is fucking bizarre. And I was like, oh, I'm getting road rage again, as I'm driving.
Man, for real. It's not the open road like it is all the time in the night.
No, and I was like, fuck, this is what people deal with.
It takes
every
fucking
day.
30 minutes
I forgot
to get to
about
Denver
that.
from here during rush hour.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking.
It takes 15 without in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and I was looking.
If you're going slow.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at an apartment complex the other day that was somewhat near my place.
Sure.
And I think it's about 6.2 miles from where I work. Brother, rush hour timing.
That's out
31
towards the
minutes.
mountains?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, it's pretty out there.
It is.
Yeah, it's really pretty out there.
But it said the rush hour time was 30 minutes.
Well, you're a night worker. Well, you got to be there. You got to get there. Well, it's going the opposite direction.
Because I'm going to be living with my coworker.
Right.
And he works normal human hours.
Truth. But he
works at 9 to 5.
He also drives like a fucking insane person, but...
Yeah, he'll be all right. He'll take that little fucking Ford and whip it around everybody.
Yeah.
Ride it on the goddamn guardrail. Ride it like a skateboard.
Straight up.
That motherfucker drives insane.
Like a madman.
Mm-hmm.
He was I'm not even going to mention that on the podcast. I'll remind me to tell you something after podcast.
Yeah, we won't mention his name or anything.
No, we won't.
He's the opposite of most Mexican drivers I know. Most Mexican drivers I know, that's 9 dudes in a fucking, 1992 Silverado.
No, this guy took the back seat out of his car so it could go faster.
Yeah, he wants the minimum amount of people in his car. He drove me one time, and
you know who you are.
Yeah,
Shout out.
He drove me one time, and at one point we're driving on a little back road. It was 25 miles an hour, and
95.
Huh?
95 for him.
Well, so he's driving
Quadruple
normal.
the speed limit almost.
He's going normal. He's being human. And then what felt like a half a mile away, the light turns yellow. And I mean, realistically, it had to be a goddamn eighth of a mile. Okay. It was far. If I saw that, not even, even if I'm driving fast that day or I'm in a huge rush, it would never even cross my mind that it's possible to make the light.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker shifted up a gear and just my head smacked that back seat.
Yeah, for real.
And then the rest of the drive, I white knuckled.
Yeah.
And I was like, every time he went to shift.
Did you make the light?
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Yeah. I mean, his car's
fast,
crazy fast. He probably does 0 to 60
I've
in
never
3.5.
I've never ridden in it purely because he's offered, but I've never been
I think he does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's not that I don't trust him. It's that I don't trust other people.
That's what I'm saying. Your margin for error is 0. And so I was shitting myself the rest of the drive.
He's impeccable at stuff like that. I mean, I trust him in that. And his background backs up in that one. But I don't trust other people doing that. When you're fucking going around that fast. But anyway, I digress.
He's like an autistic guy with a hankering for danger. He's something
like that.
He just has a Rain Man mind when it comes to weaving through shit. He did that a little bit. It was fucking nuts. I'm like, how do you see these openings? I had one other friend like that, and then he got into a fucking car wreck, and I was like, this proved exactly what I thought.
I'm a little nervous about him getting a motorcycle.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Because he's one of those guys, I think, is just, he'll blast fucking Freebird and go 200 and be like, if I die, I die.
I've heard there's a quote by Hunter S. Thompson about that, something like that. That's called it's in a I'm gonna look it up exactly so I don't butcher it. All right, yeah, I got it here. It's this is a Hunter Thompson quote. Hunter S. Thompson, famous Gonzo journalist. This is in Hell's Angels, his first book that was published and made him famous. This is what made him famous.
Anything to do with the biker gang?
Yeah, it was he went and lived with the Hell's Angels in the '60s as an undercover journalist for Rolling Stone, and they beat the hell out of him eventually. They he legit lived with him for years and chronicled all the shit. I have the book. I think it's actually right here. It's right over there. Yeah, it's this is the quote though, and the guy who we're talking about, we're not going to mention your name, but listen in here, buddy. Says, "The edge. There's no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. The others, the living, are those who pushed their control as far as they felt they could handle it, and then pulled back, or slowed down, or did whatever they had to do when it came time to choose between now and later. But the edge is still out there."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's like a, you're still the land of the living is what you're saying there, and that's different from what you had been saying the land of the living as, but the only ones who know where the edge are the ones who have gone over, and so you do this, you keep doing stuff like that as long as it lasts.
It's every adrenaline junkie, free solo mountain climbing. Are you fucking dumb?
Retarded.
I
mean, badass, but I couldn't.
It's hard for me to discern, not obviously the net effect on humanity, but just in terms of the psychopathy of it. It's hard for me to discern that from a heroin addict,
right?
Or I'm that one of these days, shit might go wrong and it's over,
right?
And you're gaining nothing in the process. Just this high, this feeling you're getting out of it. There's what's that one? Alex Honnold, is that the dude?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
And he's just he fucking does the most insane shit. Yeah. There's another dude, Alan something. He's a dude that climbed all the skyscrapers. He free solos them.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I'm what the fuck are you doing here, bro?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He does it knowing he's gonna get arrested. Doesn't give a fuck. He's not
probably makes enough money off the videos that make him pay bail. That's about it.
Yeah, you're making enough to keep yourself from spending 5 to 7 every time you're doing it.
That's ridiculous.
You got a net zero out of it, but I feel like they don't even do it to say they did it. That's the people who pay $60,000 for a Sherpa to take them up Everest. Those people are going to talk about it 1,000 times till the day they die. These dudes are just off by themselves, living lives of loneliness, and then just going and doing the most insane shit. There was one dude I read a story about who did that at Denali in Alaska.
Okay.
The tallest base to peak climb in the world.
Right.
And this motherfucker would just go out by himself, and he would try to solo the mountain. And then died in the process.
Oh, well,
you know what I mean? Had very little other backstory in life, didn't make a big deal out of it, didn't talk to journalists, nothing. Was just I'm going to go climb that thing by myself. And since we're talking about it, let me bring it up. Have you seen the guy that sailed to Hawaii from Oregon? He's been very, very popular lately.
I haven't been on the internet. No.
Fair. I think his name is Oliver.
At least not news internet.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. His name's Oliver, but he gained an immense amount of popularity because he was working a corporate job, saved up all the money he could, quit, and then bought a sailboat so he could tour the world, sail the world.
Okay.
And he just sailed from...
I probably saw something about it. Probably memes.
He said he had never sailed in his life before that.
Well.
Yeah. And so, wasn't an educated sailor, had spent a life on the water, nothing.
Just going to learn on the
was just I'm going to do it, yeah. And he made it. He just got there in the last day or two. But yeah, 24 or 25 days.
Right. That's probably less than I thought it would take him.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. But, it was one of those dudes that was just fuck it, I'm tired of this. I'm going to go do
badass,
something else.
dude.
You got to respect it.
That's badass.
That is better than doing heroin.
It's better than doing
Marginally.
heroin. That's not adrenaline as much as it is like adventure.
Yeah, I think you
Because adrenaline, like, I feel like adrenaline junkies, people like that are doing the things that it literally is. Like, it's the difference between climbing Everest. You're just saying. It's the difference between climbing Everest and climbing the skyscraper. The adrenaline junkie is the skyscraper, and Everest is an adventure.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, let's get on to the next. We got the
let's get into
question.
this big listener question here.
We've got a listener question from Christian in Austin. Shout out, Christian. Shout out. I should call him by his real name. Shout out, Hemi. What's up, Hem Dog? How we doing? Hemi Christian Hemi, my boy, has a fucking question for us that says, how important is a supportive community in the process of recovery? How do you find the right community, and what role does it play in sustaining long-term recovery? Thank you, Hemi. We appreciate it. Well, do you want to start on that, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I got something to say right off the bat.
Sweet.
Firstly, I think the aspect of finding the right community, specifically when it comes to addiction recovery and finding better habits in life, in a lot of ways is very similar to the Ernest Hemingway quote we talked about.
Right.
I think a lot of times it's very easy to get around communities
Ernest
and
Hemingway?
feel the sense. Huh?
Ernest Hemingway?
Is that what it was?
Hunter Thompson. Okay, Hunter Thompson. The Edge.
I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hunter
The quote
Thompson.
about being close to the edge and not knowing when
yeah.
you've gone over it.
Yeah.
I think community and recovery can be very similar to that. Anyone who I think has spent time in rehab or around a lot of people who've been in rehab understand that too, where you feel like you got the right community, and then it takes one relapse. Hit it.
I'll keep going.
Oh, okay. It takes one relapse or somebody fucking up, or noticing like a pattern of kind of being drained by the situation you're in, and then all of a sudden the community you thought you had built up is kind of dissolving in front of you. It's a incredibly arduous process, and I don't think you ever truly know if you find the right community other than just by feeling.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That without the right community, it's honestly sometimes better, in my opinion. For me personally, it's if I don't have the right people to be around, I'd rather be alone.
Right.
I would rather not just like sacrifice my soul to fucking be around people. Like, I'll be alone if I hate everybody around.
Agreed.
But I don't hate everybody. I just sometimes don't really enjoy being around most people. Most is the strong word, but you know, there's a significant amount of people that I like love and like love being around. So the role of the right community, like you said, is so important. It's
and I don't think the right community is always one that mirrors your situation.
Right.
I think that's really fucking important.
Right.
Especially when it comes to things like mental health and addiction, because the problem with trying to find people that are constantly aligned with you is that inevitably you end up with people that have the same coping mechanisms, and you end up kind of falling into like the commiseration factor. And so sometimes the right community means that, like, you know, you're finding people that are actively participating in something. For me, a huge part of this when it came to like my mental health when I was in Florida was playing on a pool league. I had one buddy. Those guys I probably wouldn't hang out in many other places with.
Right.
But for that one day a week, every week, and then maybe another one or two when we were, you know, kind of shooting around and say, hey, you want to come get some practice? It took me out of what I was doing. I always enjoyed my time there. I had something that I could practice and get better at. And they were solid dudes in that regard.
Right.
Again, they weren't the type of people that I was calling when I was in an emotional pit, but I had a different community for that.
Right.
And so
that's how I feel. Yeah.
the right community for the single individual is very large, right? Like, you may have 20, 30, 40 friends, depending on what your life is, but you may have 3 that are really close that you can actually talk to.
Sure.
And then you have 5 that you can go do this thing with, and 10 that you can go do this thing with. And having that kind of diversity and balance in the larger community, as every community in the world exists, right? Which is, there is this hierarchy of importance to certain individuals, right?
Yeah,
everybody has their own subjective take.
So everybody's else's, like, I mean, in your life, there's 3 people, there are 3 to 5 people, whatever it is.
And so, finding it is about,
then,
I think, just expanding, and then dialing back in based on what your needs are at that time.
Yeah, and also I think it's important to. I mean, I think I could just more expand on what you've just been saying here. Is that it's if you're in a community where it's like I like these people a lot. These are fun. Like I found this a lot within like the comedy community when I was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that these are great people. These are like those guys. The guys that I was friends with out there in the comedy community that I mean, if I walked in there still today, I'm sure they'd be like, "What's up, dude?" Like, I mean, I'm sure that'd be nice to see them. But I'm not like great friends with them, and I had to kind of keep my distance from them at the end of the time of doing comedy, except for a few of them. But at the end of doing comedy, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes soon. But I at the end of doing it, when I quit drinking, it was I had to distance myself a little bit from a couple of people because it was just like I knew they were only good at drinking.
Yeah,
and or at least not only good at drinking, but they were only good to be around if I was drinking. Otherwise, they'd be just obnoxious, or they'd just be a drunk person. And then it's just like, and I tried a couple times where I was like, I'm gonna do this sober, and it would just be tough. So my point is with that is saying that like you can really like the people that you're around and that you're friends with and that you have like a community built around, but they can be bad for you at the time. At least at that time in your
boundaries
life.
Have to change.
At least at that time in your life, they can be bad for you, and like that's tough, man. Because it's a lot of times like I mean I'm noticing this right now with not with one in my own situation, but I'm not even gonna say who this person is to me, but they're I know someone who is having an issue with a friend where the friend is extremely overbearing and they really only talk about like a couple of topics, and it's usually complaining about their life or like saying how they like it's a girl, and they're how like they really are like in love with this guy that they broke up with a few months ago that's like a total bad person for them, and they've got this other guy who's like going out of their way for her and like but doesn't want them at all, and like and it was I don't want to go too into detail, but the point being of like sometimes you have to like pull back from friends because they're bad for you. And sometimes and it's not necessarily their fault, and it's not necessarily forever.
It can be exactly
Yeah.
It can be periods where they're going through something. And I mean, I noticed that a lot.
And I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah,
like,
I've had that happen a lot with mental health stuff, especially like friends that got really down. And I'm like, look, if you get to a bad spot, call me. But I'm trying to work out of being in this mental pit for months, and now I'm around you, and like this was super prevalent in high school. Like I had these guys that I fucking loved to death, and then like I had a couple buddies, and they'd call me like, once every 2 weeks, and the only thing they'd ever talk about was like, dude, I'm thinking about killing myself. And it was like, I can't be your therapist, bro.
Nah, it's just,
and I love you so much, but this has to.
It's not fair,
right? And so
it's not fair to your friends to talk like that to them, like because they love you too, man. It's like that's why therapists exist. Like they have to be a third party, and it's like
I think the point of what both of us are saying too is that having a good community and a strong community doesn't start with the community. It starts with your ability to set boundaries. That you can have a community of good people that are good for you if you are able to make sure you're spending the time with them in the right spaces.
Right, exactly.
If you fail to do that, then somebody who could be beneficial to your life, that you may really enjoy spending time doing with things, and then you start kind of bleeding into these other areas that they may not be so beneficial to you, all of a sudden that community becomes somewhat corrupted, right? Yeah. And so you have to be really wary of that. We pulled up a couple stats for this. I mean, this one was from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, that people with strong social networks are twice as likely to remain sober compared to those without support. Huge stuff. Let's see. This one was reduction in relapse rates.
I saw one of them in there about, and this is why. Oh, I'll just get into it. But the AA and NA meetings about like people that are involved with those things.
60 to 70% more likely to maintain sobriety for at least a year.
Yeah, and that's I can't ever discount that because it really just matters how you're doing it. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. It just matters that you're doing it, that you're getting healthy from whatever it is. And I've explained my thoughts on AA in this podcast before, but the reason that is because it's a community. There, when I was going to AA, I would see the same people there every night. We'd have a cigarette together before. We'd go into the meeting. We'd share our part of the, try to be involved, and then you'd hang out with everybody after the end, and then you'd be like, hey, let's go to a restaurant or whatever, and it's just like you'd hang out with these people. And sometimes you'd end up hanging out with these people till like 3 a.m, just like you would on drinking, but you'd be sober, and it'd be some of the best times of your life. That's literally at the time when I was doing that, it was some of the best times of my life. Mm-hmm. But I've explained how I feel about AA on there. I just didn't think I could live like that. I didn't think I could live like sober, like actually. And I respect that word. That's why I don't call myself sober, because you slip up and sometimes just say sobriety, whatever you're talking about, like. But I'm not sober. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do hard drugs. Mm-hmm. But I smoke weed every day. I mentioned earlier, I take Adderall. If I have like prescription medication, and I have a prescription for Adderall, that's not a loophole. That doesn't mean just like, oh yeah, I'm sober, but I take Adderall every day. Well, and I'm sober still. No, you're not, dude. You are not sober. You can.
It's not recreational, but you are still.
I'm not recreational, but you're altering your. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It shows a lot of self-awareness, though, to understand that that may negatively impact the community. Not everybody has that.
No, yeah, and that's where like the harm reduction stuff. I mean, look, as long as you're doing, no one's gonna get mad at you for doing anything as long as you're doing something that isn't gonna harm someone else or really harm yourself worse. Harm yourself beyond what you have stated to your friends, this is harming me. If you're the type of person that's like, oh yeah, I can't drink alcohol. Like for me, if I were to be like, I can't drink alcohol. I cannot drink alcohol. It fucks up my life. And then I were to go drink alcohol. I mean, like, what are my friends at the harm reduction, in the harm reduction scene supposed to like say about that? Didn't you just say you were bad about alcohol? Then why are you doing it? Or are they just supposed to shut up about it? Like, you're supposed to say something about it if they've stated something about it, but it's
that accountability factor. I mean, is the big part of being in a good community,
right?
But when you or someone else is repeatedly falling into that, it becomes a burden,
right? No, absolutely.
And I'd like to get into what your thoughts are on the aspect of how do you find the right community? Like, what avenues would you suggest? What things do you do to help find you?
I don't even know if I have an advice on that. I mean, thankfully I have found the right community to be around, at least in this phase of my life, and it's been great for me. The Kava community, it's been fantastic, and I've found other communities in the past that were great too. I had a lot of fun in the comedy community here. I was the sober community in Austin. That was a lot of fun too. Like when I actually was sober, but like the Kava community here in Denver has been phenomenal for my life and as a whole, like keeping me on a healthy path.
Yeah.
Healthier path.
The straight and narrow-ish.
Sure. Yeah. But I stumbled into it. Mm-hmm. I 100% stumbled into it. I would not have I mean, it was a total. I walked by the place a day after it opened, and I was drunk, and I was like, oh, Kava. I know what Kava is. I used to drink Kava in high school because I played rugby, and we had a bunch of Polynesians on our team, and a shout out rugby boys from California, my NorCal Sierra Foothills gang. We would drink Kava in high school at the rugby parties, so I knew what it was. And then, but I was drunk, and I just kept walking. And then I went home, and then the next day I dropped acid, and I was like, you know what? I think, and then that night I had was the night that I had took the ketamine experience and decided to quit drinking alcohol. That was that night. Mm-hmm. The next day, I walked in, because I was on acid, and I was just walking around the whole neighborhood, and I like walked into the kava bar, and just like started talking to people, to the bartender. It was Manny, shout out Manny, and
Hey, Manuel.
and he we just got to talking, and I was hanging out and felt good. The drinks felt good. I had the kratom and the kava. It was feeling good, and then I was high as fucking itchy the rest of the day because I drank too much. I get itchy when I drink too much of it.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that literally from then on I was like, I think I'm gonna go back there, and I just kept going back and kept going back and kept going back, and then by the time I knew it, I was off alcohol for a month. I was like, oh my god, I haven't drank in a month, and I didn't like when I quit drinking. I didn't like go. I knew pretty well about myself that if I told myself you're done off alcohol for the rest of your life, that I was probably going to be drunk in a week.
Mm-hmm.
But if I told myself you're not drinking for today, drinking for the next day, like when that day came around, and you're just not drinking for today,
taking it one step
at a time. And if you, by the way, I was doing it alone, and I told myself if you start to feel like you might have a seizure, drink. It's not worth a seizure. Fucking drink. But like I never got to that point, and I, thankfully just kind of got off of it. And a lot of that was due to the kava community. But to say that I would have any inclination on how to find one's community would be false, because I stumbled upon it.
I think you do, though. I think maybe you're not acknowledging it enough, but I think the fact that
I guess I haven't. I have one thing I just thought of.
And I think the fact that you're willing to explore different things is a big part of it. It's something I've struggled with, especially in periods where I had legitimately where I felt like I had zero community at all.
Mm-hmm. Been there too.
It was because I was doing the same thing over and over again.
Right, I've definitely been there.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier a little bit, that I'm trying to expand my life even more.
Right.
But I mean, there were periods in my life where I just wasn't around anyone.
Right.
And I would just do the same thing, and I was nervous about trying new stuff, and I would just spend my time in the house and kind of rotting away in bed or on my phone or something. And if you do that, finding the right community is always going to be impossible. You have to be willing to take the chance. Rejection therapy is fan-fucking-tastic. Ask out the fucking hot girl you think you don't have a chance with. Start going around, send in job applications, check out a new place. Go do like stand-up comedy or karaoke.
Well,
but do something you think is going to end poorly.
Be willing to
anyways,
put yourself out there. That's basically what you just said. And I think also you have to put yourself in the right place mentally and in your own life to find that kind of thing. Even if that is like, even if you found it through being like, there are a lot of people that found this community through going to rehab. Mm-hmm. So like, even if you had to get to rock bottom to find this community, like, you ended up in the right place anyway. But you had to get to the right state of mind to be willing to be like, okay, these are my people. Mm-hmm. And like, that was me. I never thought I would be an addict. Like, I wrote in a paper I wrote one time that it's like, I would imagine very few people wake up one morning and go, you know what, I think I'd like to be a heroin addict. And it's like, that's very true, because it's like nobody like goes down this path. It goes down this path knowing where it ends at the beginning. No one's like, oh, that looks like a good idea.
No.
But like it's one step at a time, and now you're fucking shooting heroin. Yep. And it's straight up, that's how it is. And it's weird. You don't think it would be that way. But it's just like a breakdown of your barriers of what you're acceptable with.
You keep giving it an inch.
Yeah, you keep giving it an inch, and then it's taking a mile from you. But, so, it's... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know getting at that.
No, I understand.
I don't like speaking on heroin that much. I didn't do it for long enough to be considered a real user at that, so I don't really like speaking to heroin too much. But it is, I know it to be that way just based on watching my friends die from it.
I think it's the way it is for almost any addiction like that. I mean, it's a very slow crumbling process most of the time.
Heroin appears to be some sort of demonic thing, as does cocaine. And
ironically, I get the vibe more from cocaine than heroin.
Yeah, it's. I mean, cocaine's a fucking devil, dude. Cocaine is
The
the
look
white
in
devil.
people's eyes on it, you're like, holy fuck.
shit, dude. Yeah,
This is
heroin
bringing
at
out the
least.
worst
Heroin
part of
just
you.
takes everything from you, like it just like, in terms of like your will. I mean, like at least like when I did it, it took away. Like, I didn't like it really because it was like one of those things that it was like, it made me feel like I didn't want to do much.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'd heard other people of like saying that like it made their life like they would like lose the anxiety and go do things with it. You know, like they lose their internal anxiety when they did it and be able to like go clean their house.
Yeah, I mean, I was where I lived in Florida. I was working in North Hillsborough. Mm-hmm. It was near Pasco. Probably most well known for the fact that it's one of the more filmed counties in the show Cops.
Okay. Nice.
But I mean, I was acquainted with quite a few heroin addicts.
Sure.
Who were very open about it, and
Right.
I mean, shared similar experiences about this kind of like being functional and feeling okay, and like getting into that kind of golden state of being able to just get around and get shit done,
Yep.
talk to people.
Yep.
And I mean, it was really bizarre for me because I had grown up not far from it, but also very sheltered.
Right.
And so I had always assumed it was just like, once you do that, you hate everything. Life is brutal.
Yeah.
And
It's not like that.
then you meet people that are like, that talk about it as if it's medicine.
See, I
Very
well,
bizarre.
it is medicine, but it's like like anything. It is. I mean, you can get addicted to it, and you're likely to get addicted to it. And when you do get addicted to it, it's physically addictive. But it's also like, I mean, there's a reason why fentanyl exists. And like we're going a step further than heroin there, but like there's a reason why fentanyl exists, and it's because there is pain that exists that can exist in your body that can only be killed by something that strong.
Yeah.
I mean, did you hear? I don't know if you heard Delano talk about it on the Trauma Battle episode, Trauma Battle 2, but he talked about it because he was put on fentanyl for his. I don't know if he talked about it on the episode, but he was put on fentanyl for his cancer. Mm-hmm. And like for like a couple of times, and it was like he said it was like it was the only thing that touched the pain.
Yeah, I had a
Like,
friend in
yeah.
Florida who said she had this very bizarre medical condition,
Right.
and went around to a lot of doctors and would be like in brutal, like in
Right.
the fetal position on her side pain, and they gave her like maxed her out on morphine.
Yep.
Couldn't get anything out of it,
Nothing.
and she said fentanyl was the only thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not advocating this by any means.
No, but it exists for a reason. All I'm
But
saying.
she said it was the best feeling she's ever had.
I would agree. The one time I've done it, one of them at least, one of the
Yeah.
best feelings I've
Not
ever done.
advocating
Except for
for
and
it.
truly based on only the panic feeling of it initially was, and that's what I believe kills people. I may be wrong on this, but if there's someone that listens to this podcast that's a medical professional or like an EMT or something like that, and they can prove me wrong on this, please do. My theory on fentanyl death, and this is only based on my own having done fentanyl once accidentally. I thought it was cocaine, and it turned out it was fentanyl. And cocaine, you think you're going up. It's an upper. Mm-hmm. I instead it was like up, and you just straight down under the ground 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's part of me that thinks that like when people get fentanyl, it's like, whoa, what did I just do? What the hell? And you have your heart starts to palpitate, and you start to go into cardiac arrest, and that's how you die. That's my theory, is that you die of cardiac arrest when you die of fentanyl.
From the panic state?
From the panic state. Because when I noticed it when I had done it, I was like, my heart started to palpitate, and I was like, I had to take myself away from it and be like, this is probably fentanyl. You need to just sit down and lay down and relax. You need to just hang out. You can't like, because I was already an addict at the time, and I was doing a lot of ketamine, so I knew that I didn't just do cocaine, and I knew that the closest thing to it was gonna like around the time was gonna be fentanyl, like that was being brought around.
Fencing fucking everything.
Everything now, dude. And it's that's why I don't do drugs anymore because of that. I mean, obviously, like, other things too, but like that's one of the main reasons I just don't even touch the powders, because it's just like, it's not fucking worth it, dude. I have Narcan in my closet, in my drug box, but it's like, I don't want to have to carry that.
Yeah, it's good to have
not great.
around though.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
right.
We
But
recently saw a situation where that was
really, at
needed.
the KB?
Yeah, but
Really? Like an outside thing, or is someone inside?
inside.
Oh, you can tell me about that later.
But yeah, I mean that too is a very important part of the benefits of community, is having
Yeah.
people in, and I don't just mean that in the literal sense of like the emergency circumstance of somebody being able to call the cops.
Right, yeah.
But having people around you that can kind of catch you when you're falling is so fucking
And don't. That's not
important.
something to always be falling.
No,
you
you
can't
don't
always
wanna
be
abuse
falling.
that by
Otherwise,
any
you're
means.
gone. People can only. I was thinking about this earlier today. That like when you like you can, if you have friends that you can lean on, you know, that's fantastic. Good for you. You're really lucky if you have friends that you can lean on. But you have to remember that. Say you lean on someone 1%, and then you know you keep lean on them another 2%, and then 3%, and then now you're on them 6%, you know. And it's you started off with 1, but now you've gone on to 3. And like my dad used to tell me that like a relationship is a lot like a lot like a transaction in a couple of different ways. It's not you shouldn't be transactional with your relationships, but it is a lot like if I am always doing something for you and you are not doing a single thing ever back for me, then what do I think the relationship matters to you for? You're just using me.
Right.
You know
that's
what I mean?
codependence.
Like it's absolutely. And
Or
so
just singular dependence if you're with
right,
somebody who
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
give a
sure.
fuck.
And so, you know, it's important to be like, you know, if you are going to lean on someone, allow them to lean back on you so that it can teeter back and forth, and you guys can help each other both when you're down, like, or when one's down, you pick them back up. It's not, but you cannot always be falling down and expect everybody to pick you back up, because it's just not the way the world works. You can't do that.
No, it's not functional.
No.
Not healthy.
Well, let's get on to the next section here. Thank you again, Christian. And we're going to move on to our next segment, which is called Why Am I Just Hearing of This? And that is our sections that we go ahead and talk about things that are in our lives that we wish we knew when we were in active addiction. And I'll go ahead and let you start on that.
Cool. I was thinking about it earlier today a lot, but because I'm still struggling with some of this now. But I really wish I knew the extent and ability to become aware of or identify negative feedback loops in my life.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So I think addiction kind of is one in general, right? So it's like this with whether it's addiction, sleeping, for me, food, but you know, you don't like the way things are, so you fall into a state of panic, rely more on this coping mechanism. Then the thing gets worse. You have more anxiety.
Oh, yeah, you talked about this a little bit
right,
before.
and the cycle reoccurs.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's really prevalent with most forms of addiction. If it's for, you know, a lot of times in my life, it was for my mental state. It's like, I don't want to be sober. I don't want to think about this.
Yep.
So then, you know, you stay not sober. It's why I've smoked weed constantly. It's like, I can't be thinking about this right now. No, I can't deal with it. And then I immediately go hit a bowl.
Right.
And it just became this thing where I would push it further and further back. And the problem would just fester in the corner. And then, you know, it became impossible.
Played that game.
And so for me, a lot of times, it was really big with alcohol as well. In my mind, I was thinking every time was kind of a medicine. You know, it was that approach of like, well, I'm just doing this because right now I'm really stressing. I'm treating my anxiety.
Absolutely.
And because I had never taken a step back to really look at the problem, because I'm a person that has such an addictive personality that everything I do by nature, if it's good once, why would I not do it again tomorrow?
Yep.
You know?
That's me too.
And it's like that with like
I've been that way
the
my
things
whole
I
life.
drink.
I've been that way with. I mean, I'm still with
The
that
gas
way with
stations I go to,
Nicotine.
the food I eat. It's like, all right, well, it's good yesterday. I'm gonna have it today too.
Right.
And then tomorrow I'm gonna have it, and then the next day. And drugs were big like that with me, where I just eventually would step back and go, fuck, I haven't been sober in 1.5 years now. Like for so much as an hour.
Right.
Like for every second of the day, other than maybe this tiny little section in the morning, or if I was working and I couldn't get, I had sobered up in time. And so I had spent all this time where in my mind, I was looking at it as a day-by-day thing and being like, well, today I just need it right now. And then I would go, oh, fuck, here I am a year into this, so much worse than I was when I had started it. And I'm still telling myself it's for the same reasons. And it was really, really hard for me to ever take a step back in the moment and go, oh, well, I've been on this pattern, and every time I'm doing this, it's leading to something more negative, and then I'm ending up in the same situation.
Right.
To me, I had stayed in that mindset of like, I think this is something beneficial. And I had lied to myself and created this mental state of being like...
The addiction also lies to you, too. That,
yeah.
It's like, oh, you're just doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is just for now.
And that, as I got older, being able to analyze those patterns, even though I still struggle with the changing it part, I still have those issues. I don't lie to myself in the same way.
Yeah.
And so there is a little bit
I'm
of
good at catching myself bullshitting myself.
the ability to go, okay, well, I have to start doing something. And then I can talk to people and be like, yeah, I'm struggling with this. I told you about this earlier when we were talking about going to the baseball game. I'm like, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
3 years ago or 4 years
You
ago,
just wouldn't have even told yourself that.
yeah, I would have told you, oh, yeah, we'll do something. And I'd full on bullshit to you.
Yeah.
And then, the day would
full
come.
well that you wouldn't be able to do that anyway if you tried,
The day would come and I'd skip it. Or I would tell myself, oh, yeah, sure, that's fine. And because I didn't want you to think I was incapable of making plans on my own.
Absolutely.
But now I can kind of do that and get accountability from the people around me, which has been...
That's good.
Yeah, very good.
And then eventually be able to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Word. Well, that's a good one. That's pretty good to... you can definitely find yourself in those negative feedback loops pretty easily if you let yourself. What I wish I knew back then type thing is today. I'm going to, well, first off, I'll mention off the top, my cousin Ryan this week turned 18. So happy birthday, Ryan. We love you. I am sharing that because I sent him a text, just to kind of, I'm the oldest cousin, he's the youngest. So I feel like there's I feel like I should give him a piece of advice that the rest of the family's not going to give him on his 18th birthday. Mm-hmm. And so I sent him a text on his 18th birthday that said, things I wish I knew when I was 18. And I said, it wasn't anything anything was just, I made this all up. And it says, when it comes to women, never party without your party hat, unless you're willing to raise a kid without her, or with her. Trust me. Not all drugs are created equal. Stay away from the ones that make you feel like Batman. Cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine. Stay out of fights. Only bad things can come from fighting. It's not even close to worth it. And just because alcohol is legal doesn't mean that it's harmless. So I told him those things, just kind of, he's a good kid, man. He's got some promise in his life, but he's just young. And he's got to work towards it. And those are things that if I just wish that, I was trying to think what I was writing it, like what do I wish I was writing myself as an 18-year-old? Mm-hmm. Because it was truly like, hey, like I made all these mistakes growing up from 18 to now almost 30. And like I made so many mistakes that usually like any one of the mistakes that I made handicaps a person for life. And I'm somehow in a situation where I'm not even close to that.
Still kicking
by a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
Still throwing left boots left and right, dude. But I thought about it from like, what would I want? What would I need to hear? And he's different than me about a lot, but like he's my cousin. I love him. I want him to do well, and I wanted to give him a piece of advice that would help towards that, at least, and impact, at least help rather than hurt. I wouldn't want to tell him, hey, you can smoke pot with me now, man. Like like you can, but like. Anyway, let's get on to the next one. We'll do this is our last segment here. We're doing pretty good. We're in hour 4 right now.
Huh?
We're in hour 4 right now on this. That's pretty good.
Oh, hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, we're at hour 4. What the fuck are you
an hour
talking
and
about?
4.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll start here with the song of the week here. That would be Town Rat Heathen by Hunter Root. It's a good song. It starts out, I'll read off these lyrics that I got here, but there's the one that's, it starts out with getting drunk by the figure 8, figure one more beer ought to set me straight, young and carefree as a boy could be, whiskey smokes and LSD. Railroad tracks run along the creek, walk 'em up and down in the summer heat. Same old things. Wait, hold on. Same old boy changing like the seasons. Country kid turned into a town rat heathen. And it's got a fucking sick guitar line with it. It's the acoustic with like a slide guitar on the acoustic, and it's a sick song. And it's like this kid Hunter Root. He's from Arkansas, I believe, or I forget. I think he's from Arkansas, and he plays out in Nashville, I believe, at his base and for music. But he's got some really good stuff, man. He's a really talented songwriter, and
is he still kind of on the come up, or has he been around a while?
He's pretty much on the come up, I would imagine. I think he's my age, so he's like 29, 30. So I think he's 30. But yeah, so he's got a band called Medusa's Disco. They're pretty sick.
Pretty sick name.
Yeah, they're pretty sick, dude. They got some cool stuff. Maybe I'll shout out another one of their songs some other time. But that's Town Rat Heathen by Hunter Root.
Nice.
Yep.
Mine this week is Way It Was by Can't Swim.
Okay.
Nice little. I don't know the subgenres of rock too well.
Okay.
But it's relatively intense. There's a good bit of little screaming in there.
Sure.
I think it would be like post-hardcore. I'm not 100% positive.
Okay. I'm not really good with subgenres either.
Yeah, it's a solid song. It's a little bit more on the down emotional side.
Sure.
Not as uplifting, if I'm being honest. But it's something I've been dealing with over the last couple months and feeling like I'm starting to kind of come out of, which is making do with the fact of how many things like didn't end up the way I wanted them to.
Right.
Being in a position now where I'm like, fuck, I gotta lose weight and I gotta start taking care of shit. And it's like, oh shit, now I gotta do all this work to get back to normal. Mm-hmm. And this song kind of talks about that. And it's, I'm all alone now, longing for the comfort of home. I've lost touch with the people I know. Do I believe what you said? Was it all true? And it's, it's just about kind of this getting disconnected. And being out here, I deal with that a lot. Mm-hmm. But luckily, I've been starting to kind of get in contact with old people. There's a couple lines in the song that do kind of reference that type. But at the end of the day, if I'm being 100% honest, it's just a sick fucking jam. It goes hard. Can't Swim is an awesome little, grungy type band.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll share some of their songs with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly one of those songs just kind of resonates. But yeah, sick music. Nice. Check it out.
Well, cool. Well, that is pretty much it for us. We'll go ahead and say really just this one last thing before we get on out of here, which is that we are changing our plan going forward.
Mm-hmm.
We are still going to be dropping one episode a week on Saturday. We will also be dropping a second episode a week. Yeah. And that'll be coming either Tuesday or Wednesday. We are not sure yet.
We'll see.
Well,
Monday or Tuesday probably.
Dropping?
Wednesday. Yeah, because Wednesday is still going to be...
It's TBD.
TBD.
If one of those 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to be dropping a second episode a week. That will be alternating solo episodes. So what we'll have there is 1 week it'll be me, starting off this next time around that it'll be released. Mm-hmm. It'll be my job to have a solo episode, whatever that looks like, I think. Whether you want to bring in someone to have an interview, whether you want to, just talk on your own, do some research, a research podcast episode, something like that. Whatever it is, it's up to myself first and then Jay alternating, and we'll do that each week. And then we will also potentially have a third episode sometimes.
Nice, very nice.
Yes, with a trauma battle every other week or every third week. Mm-hmm. We're not sure yet. So
see how many spots we can fill.
We're trying to figure out the trauma battle thing, and that's not to say that we're not going to do it, because we are certainly going full steam ahead with this. The trauma battle is a fucking great idea. and we're going to keep going with it. I've trademarked it.
Dig you? Sick.
But yeah, I think that's it's a good idea, and I think that we're going to do some fun shit with it. However, we don't have a lot of people willing to come and talk about their trauma all the time. And so that being said, if you're willing to come out onto the podcast and share your traumas with another addict and us, and really not just share, but put them to the test.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to get down and dirty.
Put them down as if they were Pokemon cards, and you were telling them, "I choose you, Pikachu." That's right. Anyway, yeah, hit that email line if you want to come on and give us a an interview, or if you want to do a trauma battle. That is again Malfunction Junction Podcast at gmail.com.
Bingo. If Pikachu was a trauma,
okay,
which one do you think? What do you think it would be? Maybe like a cocaine overdose.
Molested as a child. All right, we're gonna get out of here, folks. Thank you very much, everybody. Everybody have a nice week.